Hey everyone, and welcome to another Konoha Reviews. Don't forget to let me know which games you would like me to review on the channel in upcoming videos. Today we review the highly anticipated title Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the Modern Warfare reboot in the long-lasting franchise. Back when this game was announced, I remember being excited to return to the regular modern era instead of so many futuristic Call of Duty games we had in the past. Since it has been 7 years since the last Modern Warfare entry, the weapons tech itself has also become slightly more advanced, but still feels grounded in reality. The prelude to the release was also a turmoil one, with several journalists noting that this game would be too shocking or would cross the line in showcasing violence or horrors of war. I can tell you wholeheartedly that this is not the case, and that the people who mention this are just whiny dimwits in my opinion. Now, that does not mean that this game is for children. In fact, the topics at hand are all quite serious and deal with modern problems including terrorism and unarmed civilians being shot en masse. First reports also stated that this Call of Duty would be a more slow-paced entry, almost being comparable to something like Rainbow Six. Again, this is not the case at all, though there are some sections that hold up to this promise. The game revolves around 3 characters which you get to play as: the American Alex, the Brit Kyle, who's recruited by fan-favorite Captain Price, and the insurgent leader Fada. In old-school Call of Duty fashion, you are being dropped in locations all over the world, though this time it is not as varied as something like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. That campaign is still the pinnacle in my opinion of a great Call of Duty campaign with varied levels and settings all around, from snow and urban areas to forests and deserts. This year's Modern Warfare mostly focuses on the war being fought in the fictional country of Urzikstan. A Russian general that has gone rogue has invaded the country and unleashed his tyranny on its people. At the same time, you are in conflict with a terrorist cell which is being led by the cold-blooded Wolf and the Butcher. It's very clear that the inspirations for the storyline come from the battles being fought in Syria, but also other attacks including the London terrorist attacks. Where the campaign starts out slow in the beginning and does indeed convey the feeling of being a little slower paced, the London mission that follows is anything but that. A huge number of terrorists attack the city, and an awe-inspiring battle occurs where you need to fight the bad guys in the midst of fleeing civilians. It's really cool and hectic and does convey the chaos very well. Some of the so-called shocking things get presented here as well in the form of a hostage rescue that goes wrong. One of the hostages has a bombing vest on him, and there's simply not enough time to get it off of him. So instead of leaving him there, Captain Price throws him over the railing, evidently killing him, but saving all of the other hostages. A harsh choice, but one that indeed might be necessary if something were to actually occur like this. Despite the environments not being that varied as previous Call of Duty titles, the gameplay styles are actually very varied and even quite unique in this year's Call of Duty. One of the levels has you play as a child and presents a very tense moment where you need to hide in your own house from a single Russian soldier as he searches each room. It's very unique and even a bit scary as you try to hear where he is or get visual hints like his flashlight reflecting on the wall. Other moments that stand out are escaping from a prison by using objects and tools found in the environment. For a brief moment, the action game turns into an adventure game as you need to think outside the box a bit. Or how about the part where you need to guide a civilian in the embassy through multiple rooms and hallways full of enemy soldiers? You need to wait until no one is looking and then give her the order to move to a specific location. In those moments, it almost feels like you are playing a different game, and it is all the better for it. The gunplay in this Call of Duty is as solid as ever, with quick responses and enemies reacting well to bullet impacts. But the variety and moments where you don't necessarily shoot anyone stand out all the more for it. There are also plenty of levels where you and a large group of teammates take part in battles of epic proportion. Now, I would not say that the battles are as big as something like can be found in Call of Duty World War II or even the first Modern Warfare trilogy on the American mission side. There's one mission that reminisces to that feeling where you and a lot of US Marines attack a hospital in search of the terrorist leader. Unfortunately, it only stays at that one mission, but some of the later missions have you fight alongside a lot of insurgents, which is cool, but I do prefer the larger armies of the US when it comes to that. The truth in the matter is that I find fighting in desert areas just not all that interesting. Many of the levels take place in the desert area, many are also quite dark, taking place at night when the airbase is being assaulted, or dark in the sense of crawling through cramped and deadly tunnels. The ironic part with this Call of Duty though, is that the two levels that absolutely stand out and made themselves immortal in my opinion, and among the best levels in all of the Call of Duty games, are two levels that don't offer any big epic spectacle at all. On the contrary, two levels in this campaign have you play as a member of an SAS squad as multiple teams head in to take out terrorists in London and one mission in Eastern Europe. These levels are absolutely incredible. They are very atmospheric, very well paced, and nail-bitingly tense. These are the type of missions that people might refer as feeling like Rainbow Six, but to me, it felt more like a game like SWAT 4. In these missions, you have your night vision goggles on, and you are tasked with quickly clearing each room in the building. You have the option of slowly opening the door, or bashing it open for quick reaction. When you first play the mission, you never know what exactly is behind the door. Sometimes you hear voices, and you know that contact is inevitable. Do you first throw in a flashbang and then take them out while they are dazed? Or will you open the door slowly to see if they surrender? Or shoot first, ask questions later? In these missions, another topic presented itself with the journalists who were of the opinion that this game went too far, namely the fact that there are women involved here as well. Since you invade the terrorists' homes, their wives or girlfriends are often present as well. Sometimes they will surrender and you can take them into custody without spilling blood, but other times they will pick up a rifle or a gun to defend themselves or take revenge on their fallen husband. In that case, you have no choice but to shoot them, as one would do so in real life. This brings me back to the final scene in Zero Dark 30, where SEAL Team 6 head in to execute Bin Laden. In the compound, multiple women also pick up arms and get taken out. With Call of Duty Modern Warfare, there is a chance though that in the midst of the chaos, you might accidentally kill a civilian as they run through the room. In a tense moment like this, you often have less than a second to react, and it did indeed happen in my campaign, where I shot a woman which I wasn't 100% sure was going for a weapon or not. In my mind, it looked like she did, so I shot her, but in reviewed footage, things showed that she might not have. It was a shocking moment for me, and made me realize the stress and pressure soldiers would have who are in situations like this, as they need to make these choices on the fly. But it never crossed the line in my mind, and never made me show anything that I thought went too far. The only minus points about these two missions are that the location of the enemies are always the same and scripted. A game like SWAT has great replayability because the location of the enemies is always random in each level, meaning you have to be on your toes no matter how many times you play a certain level. But here, you will know exactly what is going to happen and where everyone is in a few playthroughs. But as I said, these levels are the absolute highlight for me, and I hope that in the future installments, we will get comparable missions like this. In the end, the Call of Duty campaign is a great thrill ride and the best we've had in years. It is not as good as Modern Warfare 2 or Call of Duty 2, but can definitely belong in the top 5 of Call of Duty games when it comes to the campaign. Improvements might be a bit more variety in levels and locations, but for the beginning of a possible new trilogy, this is one hell of an entry. The campaign is a little bit less than 5 hours, comparable to other Call of Duty game titles. In the end, Call of Duty Modern Warfare's campaign gets an 8. Having played the campaign, it immediately makes me want to go back to certain levels and play them again. Not the whole campaign, mind you, but there are some very big highlights thrown throughout. Unfortunately, we have to wait another 3 years until we see the continuation of this story, since Sledgehammer is next to present its Call of Duty game. I personally am hoping for a Call of Duty Vietnam game, but only time will tell.